Good. Is everything working?
So far. We can hear her, but I don't think she can hear us.
My
Okay,
thing
you there?
was on mute.
Yeah, mine too, because
Yep.
she just switched hers. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ella Johnson Show. Listen, let me tell you something. Whenever you are really trying to do something spectacular, you must know the devil's going to get involved. We had some technical issues, but it's all right. We are here now. It is night 2 of the revival of the survivals. I am so excited that you guys are here last night with us. We had an awesome show. If you missed it, you're no worries, because at the end of the week, we're playing back every one of this week's shows. But tonight is night 2 of the revival of the survivors here on the Ella Johnson Show. I told you it was a revival time. Well, I have my guest here tonight. We're going to have an awesome conversation. Tonight, it's all about Men Cry Too. And I know that, everything that you see around us, it always talks about the women and the issues that we have and the relationship issues. But tonight we are focusing on the men here on the Ella Johnson Show. And I have 2 very exciting stories that are coming out for you. They're very inspirational stories, because you have Michael Watson, who has been here with us before on the Ella Johnson Show. He is back, right? 21 years old, shot 9 times. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to give it all right here. You're going to stick around for that. Then we have Charles Litter, who is here with us tonight. He's a father of 4, and he is fighting CPS. Yeah. Listen, Men Cry Too. That's all coming up next. Listen, I don't want you guys to go anywhere. What I need you to do is to share this broadcast. If you are watching from YouTube, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel so you don't have to worry about missing any more of my shows. If you're watching on YouTube, just start typing in people's names. Start tagging them in, because you do not want to miss these stories tonight. Listen, what's coming up on the Ella Johnson Show is going to bless your soul. I want you to know this, though, before we take this break and come back. All things work together for good. If you don't understand what that means, you will by the end of this week, right? All right, guys, listen, like I said, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. It's time for the Ella Johnson Show. I'm so excited that you've taken time out to tune in to the Ella Johnson Show. I hope you enjoy the broadcast. So sit back, relax, and I'll see you at the end of the show. One day someone asked me, Ella, why do you do talk shows? Like, why is this so important to you? I said, because I want people to know that God does use us. Because sometimes things don't happen to you. They happen through you. And now it's time for the Ella Johnson Show, where we set the table for real talk conversations. So stay tuned. It's all coming up next. The Ella Johnson Show. right, guys. Well, welcome back. We are here live on the Ella Johnson Show for night 2 of our revival. Listen, I believe in revivals. I think it's always very important, always, to go back and remember from where we've come from and to give God the praise. Because listen, if you think you could do this by yourselves, I'm telling you right now, you've already missed the boat. Because these men here tonight are going to share their stories with you. And you see, and then also, guys, later on, I'm bringing Lucinda Pennington in. I know my guys here didn't know that, but this one's for you, Charles, because Lucinda actually right now is working to get kids home. And I am prayerfully hoping that she's going to be able to share some information with you tonight that's going to help you. Because I know you guys didn't know she was coming on, but see, God is working behind the scenes, you know, and she's here. She's sitting in the studio tonight, but she's actively helping bring kids home. And we want to bring your kids home and give God the glory for it. Well, I want you guys to meet my guest tonight. First off, we have Butter the Preacher. Listen, yeah. Listen, I was listening to the last show with you, Butter, and I was like, I am such an airhead because your name came from Butter the Gutter. You went from Butter the Gutter to Butter the Preacher. And when he said gutter, I thought that meant that we gutting folks, like we cutting folks, right? But he's like, no, gutter is like the gutter, Ella, right? You know? But listen, his story is amazing, guys, because I just absolutely love him and his ministry, what he is doing. He's a minister, songwriter, recording artist, father, husband, and the 2022 Hip Hop Gospel Artist of the Year, right, Butter? Welcome again to the Ella Johnson Show, my friend.
Good job.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here, Miss Ella Johnson. Thank you for allowing me with this time to spend with you on this amazing platform. I've been seeing you do a lot of great shows. Lives have been changed, has been blessed because of the gift that you're using that God has given you. And to bring these topics and awareness to people on this platform, God is going to continue to excel and change lives through you. So I'm just grateful. It's a privilege and an honor just to be here sharing the time with you and Charles on the day.
Listen, I give God all the glory, brother. You know, we've all been through, and this is what it's all about at the end of the day. Then we have Mr. Charles in the house. He's a newbie to the Ella Johnson Show. He'll be back. They always come back. But he is here tonight to share his story. He's a father of 4. And he is going through a battle right now. In fact, just last week, he just was released from jail. And he's here still. He said, Allah, even no matter what, I'm still going to be there. God has a purpose. And I believe if you have a pulse, you have a purpose. And he's serving in it tonight because someone that's watching this broadcast, you just never know who this is reaching. Because right now we are live on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and in Africa, West Africa, guys, on Esteem TV. So welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, Charles, for your first time and for being here to share your story.
I appreciate it very much. It's an honor, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Very much. Thank you.
Listen, before we get started, guys, I need you guys to listen to Butter's song, Everything's Going to Be Okay, because I think that we want to don't we need to set the mood up in here tonight?
Yes,
we got to set the mood up in here. And there's no better way to do that than to bring in his song. And I have all of these. There we go. All right, guys, I want y'all to sit back and listen to this. This is amazing.
All right.
We'll be right back.
I thought he's not going to sing.
Sing, Tracy. I want to dedicate this song to anybody that lost someone close, lost a loved one. There's no broken heart that heaven cannot heal. But the preacher,
since you have been gone, my life ain't been the same. Telling me be strong, but they don't feel the pain. I've been crying tears lately, been this way for years, baby. I just gotta be patient. Tell me, Lord, everything's gonna be okay.
Everything's gonna be okay. Live to the fullest, never knowing it'll be your day. Pierce with a bullet, really crushed me when I lost the way. That I gon' do it, keep your faith, boy.
Everything's gonna be
Remember
okay.
all the memories of how you grew up. I know it hurts you lost a brother, man, cause I lost you one. Holy emotion was a struggle, man. I almost had blew up and almost snuck up in the crash, man. That was just too much. Life's too short to hold a grudge. Life's too short to fight with blood. Even though you talk about me, though, I still forgive you, cuz. To be absent from the body, to be present with the Lord. Rest in peace to Billy Young. He took off just like a dove.
Since you have been gone, my life ain't been the same. Telling me be strong, but they don't feel the pain. I've been crying tears lately. Been this way for years, baby. I just gotta be patient. Tell me, Lord, everything's gonna be
Take the time
okay.
one day after one, just to reflect. Don't no drinks, up about no blunt. Show some respect. The enemy, he wanna make you regret. It's just a test, and just know that you're blessed.
Everything's gonna be
When God gave the
okay.
angel, man, his lost ain't our loss. And his ways ain't our ways, and his thoughts ain't our thoughts. Ain't my brothers in the grave, I felt like it was my fault. Jesus died on the cross to pay the price of life. Thank you. This song for anyone who ever lost somebody close. Even though I'm still hurt, I hope I brought somebody home. And I pray I bring meaning to a heart that's probably broke. I could have made the song 1,000 times before. Let them know.
Since you have been gone, my life ain't been the same. Telling me be strong, but they don't feel the pain. I've been crying tears lately. Been this way for years, baby. I just gotta be patient. Tell me, Lord, everything's gonna be okay.
I truly believe it will.
Yes,
Hold your candles up.
everything's gonna be okay.
We celebrate those that are gone. Believe the Lord.
Everything's gonna be okay.
That God got us for this day and forevermore.
Oh, I need it. Yeah. Everything's gonna be okay.
Wow. That's what I'm talking. Listen, oh, I got chills sitting over here. I love that.
Good.
I listen to that. I love it when I'm feeling down. I listen. That means a lot to so many people. Everybody has their thing. Did I not stop the music? Looks like I kept the music going. Oh my goodness. Look at that. My life is in your hands. Lord, speak. Look at the spirit just do. I told you the spirit just go where it wants to go. Like, listen, that song is amazing, but thank you so much. Listen, I want to jump in. Before I do that though, let me bring over my messages. Because we love for our guests to tune in and to share their comments with us, ask questions to my guests, guys. That's what they're here for. Hi, Jennifer. How are you? Hi, Paul. Everybody tuning in. God bless you too. Yes, Butter, God used you. Yes, he did. All right. So we're going to just jump right in because we have a lot to unpack tonight. We want to make sure Lucinda gets a chance to come in. So, Butter, I want you to just kind of take us back to that teenager because we know you've been through it, right?
Yes.
So we want to kind of take everybody back because this is not a judgment, a place of judgment here. We don't do that on the Ella Johnson Show because we've all fallen short. So we bring stories because we want to bless people to be able to say, you know what? If God did it for him, do it for me.
Yes.
So take us back to the teenager, Butter, that was out in these streets. Talk to us about him.
The teenage Butter was a child trying to find his way, trying to find his identity, his purpose, just trying to find his niche and place in the world. And I believe growing up as a child, you need someone to be a reflection of what living for God looks like. You need someone to show you what a working man looks like, what a husband looks like, what a father looks like, what loving a woman looks like. And those things I didn't have. It was the absence of that presence due to the absence of my father during that time in my life. And so you're curious about your identity because who am I? You know, I'm not my mother or grandmother. They did the best they can do. My grandmother raised me up in a very powerful home, Christian-based prayer warrior home. The Bible says, train up a child in the way they should go. But when that child gets to a place in life where they're able to go, they may stray away after a while because they're trying to find their way. And so I was one of them young boys trying to figure out, like, who am I as a man? Mama couldn't teach me that. She taught me how to love, but she couldn't teach me how to survive. You know, she couldn't teach me how to fight. She couldn't teach me how to work. She couldn't teach me how to be a millionaire because we was on welfare. So I'm living this life with no identity. And I believe when a father's absent from the home or some kind of male presence, not even just a father, it could be some kind of male presence like a role model, positive role model. When that absence is there, it's not there, it's going to be detrimental sometimes, in my case, to a child that was surrounded around bad, toxic influences, drugs, gangs, crime, you name it. I was around an environment raised in Gary, Indiana that was known as the murder capital. So now we're talking about a fatherless child raised in a poverty-stricken area with nothing around him. And now you're thinking about what his future is going to look like. It may not be that bright if he become a product of that environment. So what happened was the guy next door who was pimping the women, that's what I thought man should be. The guy next door on the other was selling the drugs, that's what I thought what a working man looks like. I go to school, I hear the programs, you should not drink, you should not smoke, you should not steal. We know that. I mean, that's good to know when I'm hearing it, but when you see them different, it doesn't line up. So you're trying to figure out which one is true, because I'm knowing don't do this, but they are doing this and they're looking real successful with these rims and this jewelry and all this money in his pocket. And he's giving it out, passing it out to all the kids. So is it right? Is it wrong? So I don't know, because kids go off what they see, not what they hear.
Right, right.
Not to smoke, but you also got to show them not to smoke. One thing to tell them not to steal, like we also got to show them not to result in that kind of violence. So I seen opposite of what I was being hearing in the schools and hearing what grandma was saying. But when I got into the, it was a whole different type of story. So I just, but like, how do I survive? Because I'm divided between what I'm taught at home and what I'm taught at Sunday school to what I'm learning at the basketball court. And if I take this to the basketball court, I don't think that I will survive, because they're going to make a mockery out of it and still do what they're going to do. So I got to build some kind of persona, some kind of wall that I can protect myself. So I became angry. I became aggressive because I'm searching for something I'm not finding. And that's my father at the time. That was one of my pains, one of my struggles. I didn't deal with being abused or being talked about. I felt more of an enemy of myself because I seen everybody else having fathers and people at their basketball games. And I'm sitting there waving at grandma. So it's like, I was kind of like, what do my identity looks like? So at 20 years old, I found myself in a whole bunch of trouble, in and out of jail, making bad decisions, bad choices. Then at 21 years old, as we know, that's when Gutter at the time was shot 9 times and left for dead. So that's when my life started to spiral in a different direction, because I was on my way, they kind of trying to change, trying to search for a way to start, a better life for me, a better plan for me, a better route for me. And it was just too late at that time because I was so deep in what I was in. It's like, okay, now, but it's wrong. I'm selling drugs. I know this is wrong. I'm making this money. It's like, so how do I get out of this thing the safe way? There's no retirement plan for me. There's no pension from me.
Right.
How out of this? And you lying to yourself saying, well, you know what? Next week, I'm going to stop selling drugs. I'm going to just start a job. But you realizing that you getting up for somebody for 8 hours a day while you're making $1,000 in 2 hours, it's not lining up with your psyche in the right way. So I was trying to coach myself and to say, okay, I know I can do better. I know I can be better. And at this point, it was like, I just got so thick in it. I needed God to deliver me out. And my deliverance wasn't the way I thought it would be. It became with violence. It came with blood. It came with me having to cry out on my back with 9 bullet holes in me and asking God to come save my life as I watched my best friend die in front of my face. And that's when life started to get real for me.
So let's talk about that. You talked about 2 very important things. Your friend got shot right in front of you. He was out there in the drug game with you. You guys are out there. You think that you're invincible. Like, this is how it's going to be. That day when he got shot, set that up for us as far as what you were doing and how it happened.
Yes, I was 21 at the time, and this is 2010. And it was 4 days before Christmas, December 21st. And me and him had a conversation that morning, and I had an eerie feeling at the time. I knew God had an anointing on my life. I knew I had a discerning spirit, but I just ran from it. I'm just thinking, it's just me freaking out. It's just a reefer that I smoke. It was really just God showing me so many different signs at that time. I just ignored them and downplayed them as worldly advice, like worldly knowledge. Like this is how the streets roll. I need to feel this way because I'm in a dangerous spot. But it was God trying to tell me move around. And at that time, that day I was shot, I woke up that morning. I felt the thickness of violence in the air. I felt the region. I felt the enemies. I felt these legions around Gary that was hovering around. I mean, to induce violence and pain. And I was walking in the thick of it that morning. And I connected with one of my friends, my best friend, DeRay. And when we connected, we planned to meet up at a store like 2 blocks away from my house. And we met up, we talked, we ran into 2 guys that we never saw before. Prior to me meeting up with him, he seen these 2 guys and they had a conversation about some things. Whatever took place, it wasn't nothing hostile, it wasn't nothing violent. It was just a kind of like a meet and greet kind of thing. And these guys kind of like wheeled us into some kind of booby trap, I believe, to try to finagle us, attempt to rob. So what happened was we walking with these 2 guys, and as I'm walking with my best friend and these 2 guys, I can feel like something about to take place that should not happen. And I'm thinking in my mind, like it might be about to go to jail, we about to get chased by the police, or some kind of discussion of an argument. It wasn't too much about violence. It was something that's about to take place that is about to get ugly. As I'm walking there, I'm just thinking this in my mind. I'm saying to myself, I'm like, man, something that's don't feel right. Or the first shot went off, which was no motive. It was just nothing. Right before the shots went off, as we walking with these 2 guys, I can almost see the gunfire take place. I can almost envision everything taking place and transpire before it happened. And right, sure enough, as soon as the first shot went off, it was exactly what I was just thinking like a split second ago. You look at it, I'm on the ground, my best friend's on the ground, and I'm in blood. I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, and in my mind, I'm like, this got to be a dream. No, this got to be a dream. Because I've seen this kind of like, so it got to be a dream. I'm trying to tell myself, this is a dream. And I'm touching the snow like, this got to be a dream. But my mind like, no, this is real because this snow is cold. In the dream, you don't feel pain. And my body is like, pain is aching. And I'm like, oh my God, this is real then. And I can just feel like this is real. This is real life right now, like a movie, like it's real. And my mind, I'm like, I can't believe I got shot 9 times. And as I'm laying there, I asked God, I said, Lord, I said, please just save me. I said, Lord, save me, save me. You know I have more work to do. Please just save me. And it wasn't a prayer, like I didn't pray, I believe, a powerful prayer at that time. But what I prayed, God heard it. I said, Lord, I said, forgive me. I said, whatever it is you want me to do, just show me and I'll do it. Like, forgive me, give me a second chance. I'll stop smoking reefer, I'll stop running the streets. So I'm saying all these things that's laying on my back. And as I'm playing out to God in blood, a peace just came over me out of nowhere. I'm in the alley. And a piece of in the comfort I came up over me at that time. And as I'm laying there, I just felt like, even though this looked like a mess, even though it looked like I'm not gonna make it, I felt like I'm gonna be okay. And whether it's about the doctor, I feel like I will be okay. If I will be coming out of this and making it alive, I will be okay. But I got some kind of contentment and some kind of peace came over me in that moment where I knew that God was present. So I felt more comfort in that situation. I didn't feel like if I died, I didn't feel like it would have been a death of me just sitting there, just crying out, not knowing nothing. I felt like somebody was holding my hand, like, okay, I'm here with you. And I felt more confident and peace after that.
Yeah.
And then, December 21st, I woke up December 25th on Christmas Day at 9 a.m. And I see my family around me. I got a Catholic on me, tubes all in my mouth. And they telling me that I was shot 9 times. And that's why I knew, like, okay, now what happened to my friend, DeRay? And they said he did not make it.
Jesus.
So guilt, survivor's guilt, anger, frustration, it just rage. And this 21-year-old young man who I thought was about to be delivered and take a different route, well, now I need to get back and get my lick back. I need to get back and figure out what's going on. I need to get back because I'm angry, because now it happened for no reason. I seen people get shot. All the things I have did at that time and been through at that time, nothing happened then. Now this moment when I feel like I'm just walking in plain sight, it took place. So it's like you reaping what you sow, kind of like.
No, God.
Like, I never been in a situation.
Yeah.
I've never been in a situation where I shot somebody now. So the lifestyle.
But guys, he didn't just get shot. Yeah, he didn't just get shot 9
Yeah.
times. He was sedated for 3 days. You had to learn how to walk again. You had
Yes.
13 blood transfusions. Guys, listen. This man sitting right here is a walking miracle. You have a praying mama too. Listen,
Amen.
you
She
had
is.
a lot of people praying for you. I think that God, you know that God was all in this.
Yes.
Anyone, you have to know that God was in it. Why do you think that God allowed you to be here tonight to tell this particular part of your story? What is it that people should get out of this part? There's a
They,
lot more to go, but what about this part?
they should get out of yielding to the voice of God. I mean, and choices, because the way you choose to live is the way you choose to die. And the choice that I made at that time was a choice contrary to what I was taught. Grandma taught me better than that. As you can see, I'm telling you, I knew what was right. I knew what was this, but the reluctant, rebellious lifestyle led me into that path, and it led me into dangerous territories. If I would have operated with the spirit and stopped downplaying God, it's just about paying attention. You know, when you don't pay attention, you'll pay more than you ever will pay. So we have to make sure we pay attention and be vigilant and be very sensitive to the word of God when he's speaking to you, to not do some things and not go some places. Yes, it's going to be tempting. It's going to be hard, but we have to understand and really actually feel the Lord. That's the first sign of wisdom. And so I have to come into that knowledge of knowing, like, when God speaks, just be still. Just operate, go a different direction, because I led myself into that direction. I led myself into that way, in that pathway where the enemy was already waiting on me. And it was just God that just came through and delivered me and gave me that grace. So if anything, the way you choose to live is the way you choose to die. And one preacher has said before, he said, you come into this world looking like your mother and father. He said, but you die looking like your decisions. So it's just about just choices. Make
That's
a
the
better
second
choice.
time I've heard that this week. The young lady last night, Dr. Nisi, said that same thing. That was how she ended the show. Oh my goodness, that is amazing.
Yes.
Charles, what do you think about all this that you're hearing so far? You're sitting there like, wow. What are you thinking about?
Yeah, God had a plan for his life, and he's right on. The Holy Spirit speaks to us and tells us what to do and where to go, and it's up to us to be sensitive enough to listen to that voice. And not all of us are perfect and have aced it. You know what I mean? And this was just an opportunity, a situation where he was younger. You know what I mean? And didn't exactly know the voice of God speaking to him to tell him something. And we live that lifestyle. We're just that's where it's gonna end us. It's gonna end us in that grave, or it's gonna end us in prison, or something. But definitely, God had a plan for his life. And the end, I like to say the defeated enemy. I don't like to just say the enemy, because he's been defeated. You know what I mean? So the defeated enemy tried to take him out, but he couldn't. You know what I mean? And so God had a plan for his life, has a plan for his life. Plans to prosper, not to harm him. Plans to give him hope in a future. Glory to God. And he's got bigger plans than we could ever ask, think, or imagine. You know what I mean? So you've been put here to do a work greater than you could ever even imagine. So just keep pressing in, brother, and just seek him. And man, just put aside that extra day, 2-3 days. You know what I mean? And to seek him, because he's the only one, man. We're so consumed by the busyness and the going so fast in this life, man. We have to slow down and, like, God,
Speaking.
what do you want me to do? Because this time is y'all know it's getting. There's so much that we need to do, and it's past time for us to press in even more and more and get things done. So bless you, brother. You're going to do a great work, brother. Great work.
Thank you so much.
So welcome, after you recovered, Butter, after you recovered, and did you go back to the streets, or were you on fire for God at that point, or did it take more time?
Well, I always tell people it's easy to submit when you're in pain. It's easy to submit when you hooked up the tubes and get God and not walk. And that's what we do a lot of times. We go to jail, we cop a plea, write books, we do all these things, come home and make the same mistake. So what happened was, at 21 years old, I'm saying all these things, but deep down inside, it was a hidden agenda that, hidden motive of the flesh that wanted to still please the streets in some kind of way. And when I came home, I rehabilitated myself. When I started back walking, first place I went to probably, I think, was a nightclub. And it wasn't an intent to, be doing something wrong, but I'm back in an environment and I got people that still smoking and drinking and doing everything that's, contrary to what I was telling God I would not do. And then they let me back down to a group of people that was in a lifestyle that I was trying to get delivered from. So the crowd that you're around plays a part also into how far you go. So a lot of people are being held back.
Did we lose audio?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
A lot.
All right. Ella, can you hear us? Ella. No. Can you hear us?
Did we lose audio?
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
We can hear you.
It's okay. We got this.
Okay, so let me ask you guys this. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
You guys can hear me. Okay. I can't hear you guys, but we're gonna keep going.
Yes.
Okay.
So take us through the end of this, where you finally realize, you know what? God has saved me. I went back out there, but now I am definitely ready to give him the glory and live for God. Take us to that moment when you finally made that decision, brother.
Yes, at 20. Now I'm at 25 years old. 4 years later after the shooting, I come to a crossroad in my life where I'm matured a little more. I'm working, man, and it's making good money. And I'm asking myself, okay, now what is it that you want to go from here? I mean, you out of the streets, a little bit, but you far from where you was. It's a journey. Something is coming over me now when it's getting more personal with God. Like it's more intuition. It's more of I need you to put some work. I gave you a word. I gave you a story. I gave you a testimony. And I felt the need to spread the gospel in some kind of way, but I didn't think it would be preaching. I didn't think it would be pastoral or any kind of pastoral leadership. I was thinking about just being a mentor, spiritual guide. And then God was telling me, like, I called you to preach. In my mind, I'm like, nah, I don't think you called me to preach. Not me. You were shot down towns.
That's what I would have said.
No. My mind. And immature spirit, you don't understand that God called sinners. God called you, your grace. You know what I'm saying? God calls David. He called all these guys who were dealing with Saul because they've been Paul. So I'm like, so I'm but God, what you gonna use me as a preacher? They're gonna lie, they ain't gonna take it serious. I won't last a day in the pulpit. So I'm wrestling with this thought now, like God is calling me to something even bigger, but I don't want to be in the streets and in the pulpit at the same time. So I'm fighting against my flesh. Real call is just me just feeling like I should just go up there and do something. Then at this point in time, I asked God, I said, whatever it is you want me to do, show me and I'll do it. Wherever it is you want me to go, I said, show me and I will go. And that was my prayer of surrender. It's July 23rd, 2014. July 24th, I wake up that morning, get in my car, call my pastor and tell him that I want to talk to him. I want to meet up with him that week and announce my calling to preach. But on that day, on July 24th, the day after I made this prayer, I'm driving and I get a flat tire. I get out my car, check my flat tire, see the need fix it flat. As I'm putting fix it flat in my tire, I just hear, that was it. I wake up in a helicopter on the way to Christ Advocate Hospital from Indiana to Chicago, and they telling me to stay woke. I just flatline. I'm like, what's going on? Like you would just hit by.
You made a decision to follow him, and then this.
This after the.
This is what y'all got to pay attention to. This. Oh my gosh.
Just flatline. I'm going to announce my calling. The enemy tried to take me out. They wake me up telling me I just flatlined. They brought me back to stay awake. What today is, checking my cognitive, what my name is, to see if I got brain damage. And the first thing I say is that I am a preacher. And it was that day where I announced my calling, knowing that it was like I died and came back a new man. Same body, same everything, but my spirit was just different. When my head cracked open to the skull, out of the socket, I confessed my calling to preach at the moment because I knew God had a plan for my life. And when I made it to the hospital, I was in pain, I was in agony, had to get plastic surgery. But since July 24th, 2014, this is exactly what I've been doing every day since that day. Then go back to the streets, then go back to the shootouts, then walk back in no clubs, no liquor stores, none of that. No smoking, no selling drugs. It was like a cold turkey, like everything. just shut
This
down
is
and
what
just
it looked
stop.
like, guys. Look at this.
I didn't have
This
go through the process of trying to get spiritual counseling or any AA classes. It was just like God just stopped and he just did a miracle in my life inside out. And I don't look like what I've been through. So the grace of God has been applied to my life. My ministry has reached so many people due to the fact that it's evidence that God is a healer. He's a way maker and a provider. And I feel so much better with the burden of living a life that was not my life. That was somebody, that was the enemy. That was the enemy trying to stop me from being on this shoulder. That was the enemy trying to stop me to a young man who don't know how to go from Vice Lord to Christ Lord. So it's like God has made me a whole new person, but I have that same resume knowing how to deal with the streets in the pulpit and bring these people together and save those that's really lost in the world.
and your song, where did that come from? Everything's gonna be okay. Where did that come from?
That song was a dedicated song geared towards two of my brothers that was killed from gun violence. One in 2018 and one in 2019. And at that point in time, I wrote that song. It was doing one of the anniversaries of my death. And a lot of people did. It's like, it's not just my brother. Somebody else lost a brother. Somebody lost a grandfather.
Right.
Somebody lost a
That's right.
son. You know, my mother lost her son. My aunties lost their nephews. So everybody did with something. Somebody lost their wife, their husband, their job, their cat, their dog, their house. And grief comes in so many phases and facets. It's more just than the physical presence. It's material. It's social. Somebody lost their mind. So I'm making that song. Everything is going to be okay, because and we got your life in God's hands. The Bible says all things work together for the good for those who are called and the love God is called to his purpose. So I know in life that you're going to go through some valleys, you're going to go through some highs and some lows, and things are going to hit you, turmoil, you storms. But when you know everything is going to be okay, it brings forth a comfort when I listen to that song, like, okay, I'm going through this, I'm going through that. But remind yourself, it sounds like a cliche, but everything is going to be okay. You're going to make it. You're going to live. You're going to survive it. You woke up again. Right. Pain that you slept with. You slept with that pain. You slept with that. You came up still. It cannot hold you down. It cannot keep you down. So you're going to be great. You're going to be good. And if you trust God, everything's going to be okay. So that's why I made that song, to bring hope to somebody who's dealing with something they can't figure out.
Do you regret any of it?
Yes, I regret some of the things that I have. I regret time that's wasted. I don't regret the things I have been through. It made me who I am.
Yeah.
But the time that's wasted, when you know what you could have been doing, should have been doing during that time in that season, I believe my brothers probably still would be here. I believe some of my friends still would be here. So I believe in those things. When I think about it, it's like you regret time because it's the only thing you cannot get back. Money you can get back. Friends you can make, but some of the things that you cannot get back is that time. And that time you get to be used serving God. That's what he calls you.
That's right. You know, on the other show that you were on, the Ella Johnson show, you said something, because I wanted to play that back and see if I missed anything. And you said, if the dope don't kill you, the lifestyle will.
Yes.
So talk to me about that, because there are people that still honor and love the lifestyle, and they don't realize that. Oh, okay, yeah, because you may have some that say, "Well, I don't do dope. I don't do it. I just sell it." Because you know it gives me that lifestyle. So why don't you talk to those people to let them see and understand why that statement holds true? If the dope don't kill you, the lifestyle will.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of people. They didn't sell the dope, but selling the dope and being in that environment and in that lifestyle has got them killed, because they have been set up. They got the jewelry, they got the chains, they got the watches, the money. When the dope bring forth for money, it bring forth this idea of this type of person that has what somebody needs or has what somebody wants. You can go to somebody on Section 8 who's struggling, and you the dope man, and you figure out, well, I don't smoke it, I don't do it, so the dope is never going to kill me. It killed you in the essence, because that's what brought forth the enemy to your life. That's what brought forth the jealousy your way. That's what brought forth people that was willing to take everything you got because you was a dope man. And I know guys that was killed and raised that wasn't from the police. They were raised that were guys that came from the other end of the city. They came and blew their brains out based off selling on the wrong territory, or a female have set them up. And it's a lifestyle they have that's connected to being a dope guy, feeling like now he got to have all the women. He got to have all the money, all the cars, and all that flashiness. I got guys killed at the red light and robbed. And so it's a lifestyle that comes with being a dope man. And so some people think it's cool, but it's really not, because either or, it's still a twofold to it. And so that's what I say. If the dope doesn't kill you itself, then a lifestyle of it will. Period.
Do you think you would be Butter the Preacher if you had never been Butter the Gutter?
Nowhere near. I wouldn't be
near.
able to be relatable to some of the things I have seen as a minister. I
That's
won't be able to
it.
minister to some of the people I have encountered, because I would have no experience in what they are dealing with. And in order to be an
That's what
ambassador,
I
sometimes
love.
you have to go through it
Yeah.
first.
That's what I love
So
right there. What he just said, guys.
I can relate. I understand it. It's one thing when the preacher tell you what he hear. I'm telling you what I know myself. I'm telling you how I feel to be shot. You ain't got to tell me what it's about. I tell you how I feel to lose a brother. I done buried 2 of them. So I know how they feel. So it's with more conviction when I give it to them. And they can will it in and be more comfortable coming to me, knowing that this is something I already have overcome.
So do you find yourself sometimes missing your brothers, and like, wow, I wish they could see me now, or I wish they would have been up here with me? You know, does that ever cross your mind sometimes, Butter?
Just can you ask that one more time? You said that they cross my mind up very often.
Yeah, does it cross your mind when you think about your brothers and how,
Yeah.
They were out there on that road with you, but they didn't make it? Does it
Yes.
ever cross your mind that, wow, I wish they could have been here to share and see where I am now?
Yes. Every time I
And be
think
right here
about
with
them,
me.
and I found a way to honor their legacy. So I try to keep them with me. And when I do things like this, so their name will never be forgotten. Their story will never be forgotten. So I felt like their legacy will outlive their life. Their name will live longer than what they lived on earth. If I'm doing the works that I need to be doing. And so that's me bringing in young men who's dealing with some things. And I use my brothers as an example. So very often their name is on my mouth or on my mind, because I'm always dealing with the youth. I'm always dealing with somebody that's young, that's dealing with an issue where he need to know how to lead the streets, or trying to leave the streets. And so I use my brothers as an example for good and bad of choices.
Right.
So it's more relatable. So basically, the life is always remembered through me in every good way. So my mother have a foundation as well, as we know, the Lewis and David Watson Foundation. But to see them in the spirit and knowing like they here with me spiritually, that's a good feeling. But it's nothing like that physical touch and that presence, to be in there, because I know they need to be here. They shouldn't be here because they got kids to raise. That's not God's will to take a young man out of the work of the end.
That's very key that you say that.
He said you
That's
should have
not
life and
God's
have it
will.
more.
Yeah, that's not
That was
God's
not his
will.
will. That's it. He come to kill. But God has
So,
a way of still pointing to his kids through us.
So later in the broadcast, but I definitely want you, before we get out of here tonight, God is gonna give him, or has given him, a word to our men that are watching this broadcast and will watch this broadcast at a later date, because I think that needs to be pointedly done, because we need a specific word for our men, because our men need us. They need
Yeah.
prayer. They need forgiveness. They need love, and they need to cry too. I think it's very important for men to cry, and not make them feel horrible that they have to sneak away and cry sometimes, because
Yeah.
we do. So what's the difference? Well, I want to jump in on you, Charles, and talk about your story, because you have coming from a totally different side of the coin here, as far as what your story is about. Charles,
Yeah.
if you are just tuning into the Ella Johnson Show tonight, we are sharing true stories here for our revival. It's a revival for the survivors here on the
Hallelujah.
Ella Johnson Show this week. And tonight,
Man.
you just heard Butter the Preacher, who was shot 9 times, and he lived to tell it. But now Charles is going to share a little bit with us about his struggle with his family, his children, because he is a father. So talk to us a little bit, Charles. You are currently fighting the CPS system, but let's take it back. Tell us about the kids first, briefly. Just share with us about the kids and their names. And
Oh, my babies. So I have a 26-year-old from a different woman. His name is Charles Anthony Leiter. he played baseball from 4 years old to 18. So when he was 5 years old, 6 years old, he was watching ESPN and ESPN2. He wasn't playing he wasn't watching no cartoons. You know what I mean? Baseball was his life. He's doing good now. I have a grandson who's 2 years old. His name is 7 because my son's Anthony's baseball number was 7 all his baseball career. And and then him and his girlfriend, they're having my granddaughter in this month. So later on this month. Now to go back to now going to my recent my ex-wife, which I did not want to get divorced, but sometimes, I tried everything, you know what I mean? I'm not a quitter, so I stayed in as long as I could, but it just got to a point to where it was like, okay, I can't do this anymore, and I just, she got home one night and I just leaned down to her and she was in the recliner and all the kids were in the living room over there. And I just whispered in her ear, nobody heard. And I just said, tell me if there's no hope in your heart for us and I'll move out tomorrow and file for divorce. And she said, I've been trying to tell you that since you've been here. So I said, okay. So I moved out and filed for divorce. But we met in 2007 and several months into the relationship, I found out that she had already had 6 CPS cases with her oldest kids. And just a long fight, I mean, just mental, psychological, I don't know if you want to call it brainwashing, just whatever, mental abuse, psychological abuse. I mean, every day she would call me, you're a loser, you're worthless, you're pathetic, you're a deadbeat, you're not a good man, you're not a good dad, no one wants to hire you. And I mean, just day in and day out of hearing that stuff, at first you don't believe it, but after like 6 years of that all day, every day, it begins to have a toll on you. You know what I mean? And then you're,
Charles, during that 6-year span, did you guys try counseling? Did you go to church? Did you talk to a minister, mentors, anybody to talk about?
I have an associate pastor that was my associate pastor for a good 12 to 13 years at the church I used to go to, graduated Bible college there. Mm-hmm. And him and I still to this day, he's my father, father in the faith. And I mean, he has stood with me through things you would never, you know what I mean? That just like, oh my gosh, he's standing with me through this. And it's just the love of God coming out of him. You know what I mean? Because right. God doesn't hold things against us. You know what I mean? He says our sins, he will remember against us no more. Our sins, he will throw as far as the east is from the west. Our sins, he will throw into the sea of forgetfulness, never to be remembered against us anymore. You know what I mean? Your iniquities, I will remember against you no more for my own sake. God said for his own sake, he will not remember our sins because he doesn't want to see us that way. You know what I mean? He can't. He sees us through the finished work of Jesus, But yeah, but did we go to counseling? Yes, of course. We went to a few sessions, but both the party has to be ready. You know what I mean? She's so used to our system enabling our system has enabled and empowered her to get away with these things for so long. Yeah. And she just plays the victim, plays the game, everything is my fault or everything is the person's fault that she's with. And and I'm not talking bad about her. I'm just stating the truth and facts. I have no unforgiveness, no bitterness, no resentment, nothing like that in my heart toward her. I mean, I was going to go help her move her stuff last weekend. You know what I mean? And I've been telling her these last few years, I'm like, Kathy.
So, but Charles, I want to back up a little bit.
Just because we're not.
I want to back up a little bit because I want to make sure that everybody understands these children's dynamic. You said she had 6 kids when you met her. Okay. That weren't biologically kids. 2?
She had 2 older kids, but she had 6 CPS cases already with them.
Oh. Wow.
Yes. So when I got served with this paperwork recently, the last month and a half by CPS taking her to court, okay, it listed all of her criminal history in their supporting affidavit, and it listed her criminal history and it listed her CPS history, and that CPS history went from 2023 to 2002. That's a 21-year history with CPS.
That is a 21-year history.
Yes.
Yeah.
Plus, they 21
why did
over
you
2
receive this
decades, and they didn't
paperwork?
even list all of her cases.
Yeah. Why did you
Huh?
receive this paperwork?
So because I'm the other parent, and they wanted me to
Okay.
show up. They wanted me to show up. They were taking her to court, but since I'm the other parent, I had to
Be served as
go
well
to.
with the
You know, I
information.
had to
Okay.
make my presence.
And they were taking
Right.
her to court.
And so
Why?
I went, and that was
Why were they taking her to court?
to
What
remove
was
the
the
children
court? Okay.
because she was not cooperating with them. She wasn't answering the door. She wasn't you know. I don't know if I can show pictures. I forgot to, upload them, but if I can show on my phone here, but if I can put them up to the screen, but our children were sleeping outside of her house in September this year for a week. And so the neighbors were calling CPS. Even her oldest son called CPS, and he's in his 20s, and he took videos of the inside and outside of her house. There was rats. I mean, she sent me text messages in the last couple of days that the rats were biting her hands in the house, and she had been evicted from the house. And our children are not there. Our children got removed on October 19th. This year. So just last October 19th, last month.
How many children were removed? How many?
Three of our own, and then she had one, and then she had a 5. She has a 5-year-old. He'll be 5 this month with another guy. Yeah. So
all of the kids were removed and placed in foster care.
And I had
conditions of her home. But this is what I don't understand. This is what I don't understand. If they removed the kids from her, why didn't they just give them to you?
Okay, you ready? Now you you mentioned earlier that I was put in jail. Okay.
Yeah.
So they removed the children from her house on the 19th. I had court on the 20th for child support. The judge put me in jail for 10 days. It was supposed to be 30 days, but she put me in jail for 10 days, or I only had to serve 10 days of the 30. Now her attorney. Now look, I've had our children 70 to 80% of the time. I had them on summer vacations, spring breaks, Thanksgivings, you name it, days during the school year that were not mine. I have $8,000 in receipts that I just started saving from buying their school uniforms, shoes, socks, underwear, you name it. I bought it, school supplies every single year. You know what I mean? But the court doesn't know that. So that was kind of my fault for not turning that information in, and not letting, and also having them 70 to 80% of the time. I mean, I would have them 5.5 months at a time. In 2017 and 18, that's the long, that was a stretch during those years. But I also had them other days and other weekends and other breaks, you know what I mean, to go along with that 5.5 months. So sometimes I had them, at least 80 to 90% of the time. Sometimes, and so I'm not paying child support for, why would I have to pay child support? But my thing is, I just didn't get in there and file the right paperwork to show the state and to show the court that, hey, so that falls on me. But I hired 3 attorneys that found out why so many attorneys have bad reputations. I'm not going to get into that, but I don't know if people can see this. Can you see that? Where are we at here? Yeah, you really can't see it. I don't know if I can send something to you. Is it too late to upload something?
No.
Okay.
Send it to our chat. Send it to our private chat there. Yeah.
Okay. So they removed the
I want to before we go any further, I want to bring Lucinda in because I want her to be a part of your conversation so that she can. Okay, so we're gonna bring Lucinda Pennington to the stage. Hello,
hey guys.
Let me bring you back here so we can get a good glimpse of you. Miss Lucinda is changing lives, guys. And when I knew that you were going to be a part of this broadcast, Charles, I reached out to her. She's been on my broadcast before, so she's family. She's my sister now.
Right.
And but she's doing some really wonderful things. She just opened up a brand new center, and she has brought in. I want to make sure we get it right. I want to put some respect on it. She has reunited
Yes.
458 children so far. Do you know what that means? That
Wow.
means she is
Good job.
taking cases and helping people get their children back. So, because of your
That's
situation,
awesome.
I thought it would be great to bring her in on this conversation tonight so that she can maybe pick some of the pieces of your story and give you some good advice.
Okay.
All right. So, have you heard everything so far,
All right.
Lucinda?
Good.
I lost contact, so I wasn't able to hear what was going on. I'm sorry. I just now
Okay.
got logged back in.
Well, let me bring you up to speed. Right now, the mom was having to go to court because of the kids and being abused and poor living conditions, and so the state removed the kids from the home. Well, in the meantime, he had
Mhm.
child support court and ended up getting 10 days. So while he's in jail, the kids are removed, which is why he didn't get the kids. So now that he's out of
Yep.
jail and the kids are still in foster care, Charles, yes?
Yeah. Yes.
He needs to file for immediate
Yes.
custody,
Yes.
emergency custody. File emergency custody immediately with the custody, and your ex needs to sign so that the kids go with you immediately. You know, whatever differences you guys had for why you split up, this is the time to come together for your children. Because what will happen is, because you owed on child support, they're going to say that you're unfit. But if you can get caught up on your child support or whatnot, or even have the ex dismiss your child support so that your children can come live with you. But meanwhile, you have priority since you are the biological parent. All you have to do is file for an emergency custody and have her sign custody over to you immediately. And CPS has to relinquish your children back to you because it's a contract.
Yeah. And what if you have an ex-wife that's so bitter she doesn't want to do that just because she doesn't want
She
to give
doesn't
you
have to. You can
she just
file
wants to
for
keep the
emergency
power.
custody. You can file for emergency custody without her permission. But the fact is, it would make it easier if she wasn't such a little.
Right.
I'll choose my words
Right.
wisely.
Right.
But anyways, either way, you are
Sure.
the biological
Sure.
parent. If you are not the offender, then
Yeah.
you can file for emergency custody,
Right.
and there's nothing Child Protective Services can do.
Yeah.
I
And
think
then,
that's
so they've
good
already
advice.
taken us to court or her to court, and I had to. Yeah, for sure. And I had to, and thank you. And I had to show up on October 3rd to the child protection court. And the judge there, he let me take our son home because I had our special needs son, our 13-year-old, from February this year up until 2 or 3 weeks ago, all year long. She has withheld our 11-year-old daughter from me. I have not seen her in 2 years. So she's in contempt of court herself. And I've made all the child custody interference reports with the police every weekend. She doesn't let me see them. She has not let me see our 15-year-old son in 3 years, at all.
Yeah, but
So,
if Children's
I need
Division
to
is
file those
involved
things
now,
as well.
that nix that. That's
That
literally
What's
your
that?
ticket.
If they're
If
involved
she's
now,
got
that
Children's Division involved because she's unfit, that's your ticket to
Mhm.
get your children back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Literally.
Right. Yeah.
You
And I
can
have 0
file for an
CPS cases.
emergency custody saying that even Children's Division says that she's unsafe. All you
Okay.
have to do is
I'm
walk in there
I'm
and
gonna
prove that you are supportive, have a job, have housing. There's no absolutely, reason for CPS to not, if you could prove that you are not the
emergency.
offender. It's called an emergency custody.
Yeah.
And
Got
there's
it.
nothing CPS can do.
Okay.
The problem is she
Yeah. No.
probably signed a safety plan
Yeah.
with Children's Division, but that can be reneged on the fact that she didn't have the right, because it being a contract, she is not the only parent. Did you sign anything with Children's Division?
No.
Nothing. You signed nothing.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Don't. Do not
I signed.
sign anything.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they're
Right.
contractors.
Yeah. No, I haven't signed anything
I
in
don't care
court.
what they say. They
Okay.
are contractors of the federal government. And they have to get each parent to agree that the children need services. So if you try, they'll say, well, we can help you. We can give you
Right.
money for this. We can do this. Yeah, it's all so that they can put more money in their pockets. They make $58 million per child
Yeah.
in the system. They funnel it down from the federal government. They have to have 450,000 children in care for the federal government to funnel out that money. It's all contracts.
Yeah.
Literally, it's contracts
Yeah.
to legalize child trafficking. And they take
Yeah. It's an
advantage
evil
of,
system.
yes, they take advantage of people that have bad relationships
No
or,
education. Okay.
yep, that's what they do. And especially when parents are fighting, they love that. They sit back and they'll pit each other against people and
Right.
families just to, if they can undermine a family unit, all more power to them. Is, that's what the devil does,
Yeah.
is destroy families. And CPS is great
Yeah.
at it. They destroy families
That's
left
it.
and right. And Miss Ella, I lost my facility because of everything that I stand. Yep, I lost
No, I
everything.
didn't know that.
Yep, I exposed them for forging police reports, drug tests, and instead of investigating Child Protective Services, supposedly I'm being investigated for being a fraud and a criminal, yet I've done absolutely nothing wrong. But that's the devil for you. Evil is called good,
Yeah.
and good is called evil. I've cost
Yeah.
159 caseworkers their jobs, 2 judges their benches, 4 lawyers their bar license. I've shut down foster homes, group homes, but yet I'm the criminal.
Yeah. Nah. Yeah. No,
Well, we have to
you're
find
doing.
somebody to help you too, Lucinda. Because I
Yeah.
didn't, I mean, it's like you choose to go with the system, but if you fight the system, you are
I am
going to
blacklisted.
sacrifice something.
I can't even get a job at Walmart. And yet I have
Oh,
2
Well,
master's
you don't.
degrees. 2 master's degrees, and I can't even get a
Well,
job at Walmart.
you can start your own business and you can
I
make
did.
millions of dollars.
I did. And they blacklisted me to where I can't get grant money or any funding for my nonprofit, nothing.
Well, there's tons of businesses you can make. I just want to encourage you. You're a smart woman, and you can. I mean, people are doing it right now, making $10,000, $25,000, $50,000 a day. There's no reason you, me, any of us can't do it. You know what I mean?
I
I
see
just want to
you're
encourage
watching,
you in that.
Stacey. I see
Huh?
that Stacey Sunlitter is watching. She was on the broadcast last night. Stacey, I hope that you heard what Lucinda just said, and that what her situation is. And I really hope that you can reach out to her or me, and I can reach out to her to see what we can do, because it pains me to hear, Lucinda, that you are going through all of this and all you're trying to do is help, but you are telling the truth, because the system is flawed in so many ways. For some people, it does work, perhaps, but we like bringing the truth, because your story, what you're saying tonight, Lucinda, is very similar to what Stacey Sunlitter said last night about the DCF system. CPS is, and because last night was about sex trafficking, and we talked about how the welfare system in our country is a direct and indirect reason for why kids end up being trafficked.
Well, and
that's
also these.
America's dirty secret. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Well, and you got to understand, a lot of people don't realize this when you start researching them. These battered shelters or these homeless shelters, they report to Children's Division because Children's Division gives them grant money to do so. And I've proven it over and over and over again. It's literally, you're not safe at any of these places. They will turn you over to Child Protective Services just to get grant money.
Wow. So let's go back into your story, Charles, because where you are right now, as it stands, the kids are still in foster care, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, and my baby called me yesterday. Finally, one of them. Yeah, so I went to court that Friday. So October 3rd, we had to go to court for CPS in the state taking my ex to court, and I had to show up because I'm the other parent. The judge there was great. Mom didn't show up. I showed up with our 13-year-old who I've had since February. a judge just said, hey, get an attorney, you know, and let me take our son back, even though it was against the current court order. I wasn't supposed to have him during that time. But he read over our current court order and just said, go ahead and take him. And I took him to Cook Children's Hospital 2 days later, did a hair follicle test because mom had 2 controlled substance charges, third-degree felonies this year, a controlled substance charge from last year, breaking and entering this year, assault against me this year, which I didn't even show up to court. She just smacked me on my arm. And I should have left that night. I just reached the door of her car, you know, just jacking around because, you know, we're not enemies. You know, I was just goofing around with her. You know what I mean? But I reached the car to the door to open it, maybe to say hi to the kids. But I didn't even get that far. You know, I just went like this and she slapped my arm. And a police officer just happened to come by and I said, hey, and I should have just left. But it turned into nothing. I didn't even show up to the court date because I wasn't trying to get her in trouble. Our children, so I went to that court date. Judge let me take him home, took him to Cook Children's Hospital. They did a hair follicle test on him, did a little, you know, medical examination, spoke with me. And then October, what is this? The Tuesday before they removed her, 1918, on Tuesday, October 17th, the CPS caseworker, CPI, Child Protective Investigations, our investigator, texted me and said, can we come do a home assessment? And I said, yes. I said, but I'm super busy right now. I really was. I mean, a ton of work and, you know, get some food for this boy and finish this job that I was on. And I said, but you can come out on Thursday or Friday. And knowing that they were about to remove the children from her house in 2 days, okay, she didn't say anything about that. So then I got a call from this attorney, this court-appointed attorney, and said, hey, we've got court on Friday on the 20th for the child support. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this judge is going to put me in jail. So now I'm like super stressed because this judge, you have your district judge, you have your associate judge, and then I just found out that downstairs and even on the 5th floor where we are, there are child protection courts, okay, with different judges, but they're all the 233rd where we are. And the district judge saw bruises on our son September 2022, spoke to our son in his chambers for about 5 to 8 minutes, came out, looked at mom and said, I'm very, very concerned with what's happening here. No more physical discipline for this boy. Because he was coming over to me for the last 3 years with bruises, dark, deep, black, purple, blue bruises, brown, all over his body, made by his mom and his older brother. I talked to a captain, lieutenant, 3 or 4 sergeants with Fort Worth PD, met with 2 officers in person, talked to CACU, Crimes Against Children's Unit for Fort Worth, nothing. Crimes Against Children's Unit only investigates felony cases. Okay. She's like, we put people away for life here. We don't just deal with just bruises. She wasn't rude. You know, she was very professional and, you know, and very nice, but she was just explaining to me that they put people away for life. It's not just bruises. And then she got into some of the details of things that happen to children. I'm like, okay, never mind. You know, I'll leave you alone. But our Tarrant County Sheriff's Department, on their website, it says crimes against children that we investigate are physical abuse, emotional abuse, neglect, and sexual abuse. Okay. And so our 3 children have fall under 3 of their categories out of the 4. And so I just leaned into them, phone call after phone call after phone call. And I called them, and Deputy Eldredge and Sergeant Van Zant came out on September 3rd, I think, showed them a little bit of Adrian's journal, showed them some of the pictures of the bruising. And they said, you keep him. Don't let him go back to mom at all. And they said, if mom comes, I said, well, I'm supposed to return him tonight at 8 o'clock. What do I do? Sergeant Van Zant looks at me and says, man, with all this and in good conscience, I can't tell you to return him back to her. Make us the bad guys. Keep your son. We're getting off duty. We'll fill the next shift in on what's going on. And if mom comes over, avoid conflict, stay in the house, call us, and we'll come out and have mom removed. She came out and then this Deputy Eldredge said, we are going to, there's too many photos on your phone. So we're going to call our CID unit, Criminal Investigation Detectives, and they're going to probably have you come down to the office and transfer all your photos from your phone to their computer. and they're going to investigate the case. And he says, I'm going to call CPS and I'm going to push for immediate removal of all children from mom's house. And he was not playing. It's in the police report and everything. And he called CPS while he was still in the driveway here. Mom comes over at 8 that night, September 3rd, Saturday. I call Tarrant County Sheriff's Department. 3 or 4 units came out real fast, had it removed. 1 unit was left. I went outside, approached him about 3 or 4 feet away from each other. He goes, don't you ever, ever, ever release her back into mom's care. Release him back into her care. I said, I know. Doctors wanted to admit her into the psych ward several years ago, and they really did. But she refused and left. He goes, that was my very next option if she didn't leave when she did. He said, just from those brief 5 minutes with her, I can tell how mentally ill she is. And then he told me how one of the units followed her back to her house to get our son's prescribed medication and bring it back to us. Had him all year. And then that's when I got subpoenaed to bring him to court on like September 27th or 29th. And the judge spoke with him in his chambers, came back out, looked at mom, said, I'm very concerned with what's happening here. No more physical discipline for this boy. And then looked at me and said, Mr. Leiter, he said that CPS didn't investigate and the police didn't investigate. And I have nothing before me that gives me grounds not to let him go back with his mom. So he had to let him go back with mom. Had me wait in the courtroom. It was me, him, and 2 bailiffs. And he looked at me and he says, get an attorney, come back, and that boy's yours. He didn't say that boy's yours, but he said, come back. He said, get an attorney, come back. And then whatever he said was code for that boy's yours. Because I think if he would have said that boy's yours would have been illegal for him to say. You know what I mean? So, you know, every attorney wanted $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 just for a retainer. You know what I mean? And so I worked
What
and then just
state
kind
are
of got
you
bogged
in?
down. I've been through so many depressions. The great state of Texas.
Okay. Yeah.
Texas,
one of
Fort
those
Worth,
crap.
Texas, ma'am. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. But we really do have a good judge. I mean, he took the bench in 2019. He's retired Marine. And what he does is he will watch your body language and listen to your tone on how you're speaking to your ex. You know what I mean? And then he will make his judgments. He'll look at all the evidence and everything like that. I'm not saying that he's perfect and that he does that in every case, but for the most part, that's what he does. You know, he's an amazing judge. He really, really is. Now that's the district judge. Now his associate judge thought that she had a virtual hearing and thought that her recording was off, and it wasn't off. And we got to see the real judge, you know, real her, you know what I mean? It's on YouTube and everything. And that's the one who locked me up on the 20th of last month. And even, I mean, I would try to say something and her and her bailiff would both say, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. And I'm like, what? I would wait for my turn to talk. I wasn't speaking over anybody. You know what I mean? I was just trying to say something. Shut up, shut up, shut up. And she goes, I have to lock you up. And she pointed at her computer and she goes, it's in the system. I have to lock you up. And I said, Your Honor, if you just give me a week, please. You know, our children just got removed from her house yesterday. If I go to jail, who are they going to go with? You know? And she, I have to lock you up. And she
May
goes,
I
and then
ask
she goes,
how much money you owed in child support?
yeah, $50,000.
In child support?
50?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
5
But like I
0?
said, 50. But like I said, I have $8,000, but I have $8,000 in receipts, okay, from all their school uniforms, all that stuff. Plus I had them 70 to 90% of the time, 70 to 80% of the time, you know? So, but I just have to get that in paper and present it to the court. That's my deal. You know, and once they see that, then they will be able to, because I've had the DA's or the what do you call it? The AG's office see all that stuff. I brought them receipts. I've told them certain things, and then they've deducted everything off of there. Because I literally did. I had our children on days that were not mine. They would call me from the school office phone. They would call me from their mom's phone after school whenever she picked them up, and they'd be like, Dad, will you come get us? Heck yes, I'll come get you. Scared? I'm on my way to come get you. I had them all the time. So the court just doesn't know that, you know, in the system.
You know, you can do
I never
an
filed what I
amendment
needed
on your child support on the fact that you've had them majority of the times.
Right. Yeah, and I didn't know that, but an amendment on my child support. Okay, and
I
I'll do
was gonna
that.
say
And
you
it's
can
not
do that. You can get an amendment and get it reduced. If it was 50,000, you had them 80 to 90% of the time, they would reduce it. You probably only owe probably about 8,000.
So, Lucinda, let me ask you a
right.
question. Does
Yeah,
that
and you know,
weigh
with my
heavily? Does that weigh heavily on his ability to get the kids back because of this?
No, but it does give
Okay.
him the ability with now that Children's Division is involved that he can get a free lawyer.
but do I want that? Because the
Well,
last free lawyer I got
so what you do is you hold the lawyer according
was
to you do pro se, but using the lawyer. So what I do is I teach parents to keep the lawyers in check. So you got to understand when CPS is
come on.
involved, the lawyers that are hired, that's how I get lawyers debarred, is because they're supposed to work for you. But when you find them working for
Yeah.
CPS and trying to keep your children away from you, then there's another problem. But
Yes.
if you force them and say, you're going to do A, B, and C, and they look at you and say, no, I'm not, you get them on recording saying, no, I'm not. And then you get them debarred, and the money that you get from them being debarred, you go hire you a badass lawyer.
So, what's the immediate thing
Okay,
he
hold
needs
on
to
now.
do? What
You
when
get them
hearing
debarred.
Charles' story tonight, what would you say the most immediate thing he needs to do?
Well, I would amend
Lucinda?
his child support immediately so that the amount is so he doesn't get locked back up, because there's no way he's going to be able to pay $50,000. Who in the heck has that kind of money? I mean, I don't. But unless he gets it amended, she's just going to keep putting him in jail.
So, how were
Because
you able to get
CPS
out?
is going to say, well, he can't support the kids. He's so far behind on his
Right.
child support. How is he going to support his kids, right? But there's another way though, if you can get the ex or the mother to say, we're good, child support's good, we're good, so that do one sacrifice for her own. But it sounds like she may not be willing to do that. But child support comes from the one parent requesting it, right? Even though child support is not supposed to keep you away from your children. They are not supposed to keep you. It's called a hardship.
Right.
So when you are separated from your children, now that Children's Division is involved, the goal is to keep families first. Family First Act came out. They have to do everything that they can to keep families together. So if you're behind on child support, they're supposed to work with you. But like, for example, since mom has been an clearly unfit parent, that doesn't mean that you're an unfit parent just because you're behind on your child support.
Right.
So
Right.
if you can prove your
Yeah,
job,
those are
you
my
can prove,
babies.
right, those are your babies. But here's another way. Okay. You use the system against the system to beat the system. So if
Come
you
on.
have any
Come on.
parents like grandparents, aunts, uncles, who can take the children temporarily while you work this out, you can get them out of foster care, because the Family First Act says children have to go to family first. So if you have an aunt, an uncle, a brother, a sister, even a pastor, they can take custody of the children temporarily with your permission while you work out the differences with Children's Division. But for the love of God, do not sign a contract with Children's Division, because you do not need services to get your children back. Because Children's Division, it's all about money, and they will
That's right.
entrap you. They will entrap you and say, well, we'll let you have the kids, but you got to sign this safety plan first. No, you're going to give me my children because I'm not the offender.
No.
And this is how
That's
it's
right.
going to work. Okay.
Yeah.
I know it's
That's
a
right.
contract. You need to call them out on
That's right.
their stuff and say, no, I'm
Yep.
not signing a safety plan. I will verbally agree to do whatever I have to get my children back, but I'm not signing your contract. You can verbally agree, I will do A, B, and C.
Right.
I'll
Okay.
get counseling for my children. I will whatever.
Right.
But I'm not signing your safety plan.
Right.
So can they keep the
Got
kids away from him if he doesn't sign it?
Got it.
No, because he cannot. That's called coercion and blackmail. They cannot do that. Now you can
Good.
say,
That's
look,
good.
I'm not against CPS.
Okay,
in the
so
fact that
threatening
you
to
saved my
keep-
children for an abusive relationship with my wife, my ex-wife, or whatever. But I'm not the offender here. I
Yeah.
don't need a safety plan. I will take care of my children. I don't need CPS involved in
That's
my
right.
children's lives. I will
Come
make sure
on.
that they get the services
right.
that they need. Okay. But if you sign a contract with them, they
Yeah.
will be in your life until your children age out, which is 21 to 26, depending on the state. So
Yeah.
you don't want that. They will watch you
No
like
more.
a
Yeah.
hawk.
I've cooperated. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've cooperated with them throughout the years. I said, look, I know I don't have to do this. I have no CPS cases, but just to show you that I'm willing, I will do your therapy. I'll go do these things. You know what I mean? And I did
Yep,
that
but don't
plenty
sign
of
anything.
times throughout the
Don't.
years. And I'm done with it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. You got it. No, ma'am. No
And
more
then if you
signatures.
want, I'm
Yep.
more than happy to be an advocate on the case. They don't like me too well.
See, that's what we were hoping
Well, I
to do.
appreciate it. What state are you in?
I'm actually in Missouri, but I have
What state are
traveled
you
all
in?
over the United States helping parents get their children back.
Okay.
I just reunited a woman that had her son taken from her when he was 8 months old. She was in a domestic violence situation, and she thought he had been adopted. Just a few months ago, he's 15 years old now, and they hadn't adopted him. And he reached out to her on Facebook and said, "Hey, I think you're my mom." And she's like, "Well, let me talk to your adopted parents." He's like, "I never got adopted." And now she has full custody of her 15-year-old son.
Wow.
Good
That's
job.
what
Good
I'm
job.
talking about.
Yeah, these children have been through it. Yeah, good job. They've been through it. They're 15, 13, and 11, and it's time to
Well, a
just give
15-year-old has
them
the right to say where he wants to live in
the
the state
biggest
of
and the best time
Texas.
that they can have.
Have you asked the 15-year-old where he wants to live?
Yeah. Well, him and I have not. Well, you see, he's the my babies. Good job. Look at those girls. Oh,
I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
that girl's changed my life forever. 3 boys,
So a
3 boys,
15-year-old
3
has the
boys
right
and a
to say
girl.
where he
She
wants
is
to live.
it. So he's the one that she's not let me see in 3 years. And so they have her and his her oldest daughter have filled his head with all this junk. You know what I mean? And so I need to talk to him. We haven't talked in 3 years.
Right.
You know, it's just because she's kept him from me. So,
But now that he's in foster care,
there's some healing that needs to take place.
Right.
And so I'll talk to him. And I'm sure that's a different. Yeah. So he wants to get the heck out of there and be in a nice
Correct.
home. So
Yep.
yeah, I'll talk to him.
And I wouldn't
And I'm sure he will.
approach it as, can
Yes,
I
ma'am.
be just on I wouldn't approach it when you're talking to him. Your mom's a lying sack of blah, blah, blah. Just say, what you've been told has not always been the truth.
Of
Let's
course.
talk.
I never do that.
Yeah. Okay. Because some parents are like,
Sure.
and then the children become defensive.
Yeah. No. I never talk bad about their mom. I always tell them, hey, that's your mom. You're always going to love her no matter what. And I would never try to take you know what I mean?
Right.
Cut that relationship off with you guys, because you guys are always going to love your mom no matter what. You know what I mean? And your mom she's an amazing woman. You know what I mean? She's a hard fighter. That's one of the things I fell in love with her about. She's a fighter. You know what I mean? And and I learned so much after being with her, is that women sacrifice so much and women are so strong. You know what I mean? They'll sacrifice so much for their families. It's just that she has that hurt and that pain in her that she needs to get healed. But as long as our system has enabled and empowered her to get away with these things for so long, she has just thinks that she can get away with everything. But now she's at her breaking point. You know what I mean? Having our children removed from her. She is like,
Right.
Well,
talk to me.
so if you have a family member, to get them removed immediately out of foster care, all they have to do is file for temporary guardianship with your permission to have custody of your children so that they're not in foster care. Because it's called the Family First Act.
Okay.
They have
Okay.
to allow families first. So all they have to do is go into the court and
All right,
file.
guardian.
It's called an intervene.
Yeah.
on
Okay.
behalf of
Okay.
your children.
So you said
Yes.
guardian.
It's a temporary guardianship. It's
Okay.
called an intervene against
Well,
CPS. And I'm not
Yeah.
a lawyer. I'm just telling you what I would file.
Okay.
Right.
Intervene,
So
guardian.
what you try to do, you need to get them out of foster care.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. We were gonna do that a while back. Okay.
Good.
Got it.
Good.
Thank you.
So I'm
Okay.
glad that
But
we
yeah,
were
no.
able
So
to,
you know, go
I'm
ahead.
glad that we
Beauty
were
of
able
it,
to
people
bring
don't
Lucinda
know.
on.
The beauty of it is people don't
Yeah.
know that any point in time, anybody that has a CPS case, say for example, a parent to drug addict or whatever, CPS steps in. The problem is they have to divide families so much so that if the family knew that if they would pull together and say there's a grandmother, an aunt, an uncle, that parent, all they have to do is literally sign guardianship over to that relative because of the Family First Act. You take the contract away from Child Protective Services and they lose custody that way.
Oh,
Good.
But they don't
Interesting.
bother to teach people that.
Get
And
him
they
out of
get
here.
mad at me when I teach that. And when I teach them how to relinquish their signatures from their contract and turn around and give their guardianship over to a family member, CPS loses contracts that way. And that's why they hate me.
There you go.
wow.
Well,
That
When
is
you
amazing.
sign a
who
HIPAA
cares?
release or a
Let-
medical
let
release
them
for
hate
them,
you.
you're giving up power of attorney over your children for your medical records. Never do that. You need to relinquish all of your signatures for any
Right.
medical or anything like that because you give up your rights to your own children's records. Don't ever give up your rights to your children and their medical records.
Charles, are there any questions that you have for Lucinda? Because I want to definitely
Never.
change
No.
gears here on our show tonight. Do you have any questions for Lucinda? I mean, she's here. I'm gonna make sure you guys hook up and you know we all get to know each other because I'm sure Lucinda doesn't mind answering your questions, anything that you may have after the show. But Lucinda, do you have any questions for her, Charles?
Not right now, but just in the near future, this week, tomorrow, or the next day would be great. So if we
Give
can
me a
just
call.
connect
My
somehow
number
that
is
way.
816-255-5375.
All right.
It's public. I don't hide my number.
All right. 816.
Well, we appreciate you, Lucinda, because
Okay.
255-5375.
Did you get it?
Got it. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, listen, I'm
I
so
got it.
glad that we were able to bring Lucinda on and assist you because you're not alone, Charles. I'm sure there are people out there that are involved with CPS.
Knowledge
don't
is
know what to
power.
do. Yeah, knowledge is power. So we're going to definitely bring you back, Lucinda, because
Yes.
I got a feeling that we're
Yeah.
going to have people that are going to start wanting to tune in or be a guest on the Ella Johnson Show just to be able to get some advice from you and to help lead them in the right direction. I know that you're not an attorney, blah, 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 but
I am a biblical counselor too, trauma counselor.
See,
That's
there
what I
you
do.
go.
My
A trauma
ministry is
counselor on
Overcomers.
the Ella Johnson Show. You're a permanent trauma counselor for the Ella Johnson Show. How about that?
There we go.
Listen, I'm glad that we have a minister on here tonight because, like I said, this show I really wanted to turn this into men, about men. Men are experiencing so many things out here in this country, especially now with unemployment being the way it is, the finances being the way they are. People may not be able to afford things, and we need our men to be and stay strong. So I want to turn this over to Butter because we talked a little bit earlier today, and I said, I feel that tonight we need to end this show with reaching out to all of our men that are watching this broadcast or will watch it later, and speak to their heart and speak to where they need to be, and encourage them, Butter. So I want you to just kind of take over from this moment and just kind of lead us down that path of reaching our men that are watching this broadcast, and the men and what they need to be strong and to protect their families. You're on mute.
Yes, thank you. First,
There we go.
I want to acknowledge and commend Charles for being just a great father, man. And you a great father, awesome. And any child
Thank you.
will be, man, I mean, to have a man like you to come through and care for them and fight for them and love for them, man, go to the cell for them. I mean, that's real love. And it's something that God, I believe, is about to turn around in your favor. And this gonna be something they'll look at years from now.
Amen.
About how sincerely you work to make sure that you mended their relationship with you in a way that it took whatever you have to take, whatever you have to do. They'll never forget how daddy loved them so much. You know what I mean? People need to be loved in real life. And you shown that in so many aspects as I listen to your conversation. Yes. And Miss Pendleton, I thank God for the gift he's given you and the heart he's given you to go out and help families and bring families back together. Because the enemy job is to divide and conquer. And you have a gift, and God has called you to be a mender. You know, you mend broken hearts, and that's your ministry, that's your platform. So I pray that God continue to open up doors for you and the platform for you, and refund you with a new building, and I give you access to grants. I believe he's that same God that brought you this far. He didn't bring you this far just to leave you now. So it's about to be a lot of things taking place where families is going to need you. So I need you to stay prepared as if you got to walk into that office in the morning, that building with your name on it, because a lot of kids are about to be set free because of the gift God placed inside you. And the word I want to bring forth is just a brief word of encouragement to all men that's watching, whether you're old, you're young. You know, these problems that we are talking about is no respect of age or person, no matter if you're black or white. As a man, you're going to deal with some struggles. You're going to deal with some issues. It's not a color thing. It's a life thing. And as men, it's thing that men cry. And as we don't like in the house, we not taught in the home that I'm raised in. It's like my culture that we should cry. They say that it's soft. They say that it's weak. They say that you're not man. And real men cry. We have to express ourselves in a way sometimes word cannot describe. And I'm here to tell you that it's okay to cry. It's okay to find yourself in that place where you don't know what's going on. You just got to put your head down and plead to God, because I've been at that place before and I went in with things. And the acronym for crying is CRY. It stands for constantly renewing yourself. And your tears are going to refine you. Your tears are going to restore you. Your tears are going to renew you. And I don't care if you don't have no job. I don't care if you don't have no money. I don't care if you don't have no house. I don't care if you don't have no car. That does not define you as a man. What define you as a man is your walk and your compliance with what God has called you to be. And the Bible, Gideon was in the army, this Gideon's army, and there was a point in time where he felt like he was short. He felt like he was weak. And he felt like he was a man that wasn't worthy to fight in the army that God has called him to fight. He felt like he didn't have enough strength. He felt like he didn't have enough power. But the Bible declared that the Lord told him that you are a mighty man of valor. And there's somebody that's watching him who feel like he's not man enough because he can't take care of all the bills in the house. He's not man enough because he can't get the kids. He's not man enough because he can't get the wife the purse that she wants. That does not define you as the man. What define you as your work ethic. What define you as your love. What define you as your prayer life. People need to see what God looks like. And that's through your walk. That's through your ministry. Whatever God has called you to, go to that thing and move in that thing effectively. Because even though you may not got something that they think you should have, it's not about what you got. It's about who you got. And when you got God, you got everything, because he has blessed you with life. He has blessed you with a second chance. Understand, it's not about having a big house. It's not about having all the money in the world. You got to have all of God. You got to have all the words, all the wisdoms, all the things to pour into your children that nobody else can pour into them. Anybody can buy them a house. Anybody can give them a job. Anybody can give them these things. But your job is to live a legacy and show them what living for God looks like. That's our job as men. That's our job as parents. And any man that's watching this that feel like he's in this at the railroads of life, he don't know where to go, he don't know where to turn to. Seek towards him. Seek towards heaven. You don't have to pick up a pistol. You don't have to pick up a weed bag, but God has given us something to pick up, and that is his word. I went from Vice Lord to Christ Lord. So that means if you're in the gang, you can go from GDs to God. You can go from Latin kings to the King of Kings. You can go from the Crips of Bloods to the one that shedded his blood. God has a way that you can come out of that. It's up to you to make the choice. It's up to you to stop complaining. Get out of that bed and pick up that bed and walk. Get out of that depression. Get out of that.
Amen.
You are strong. You are courageous. You are resilient. God has made you to be brave. God has made you to work with your hands. God has given you creative ideas. You are a business owner. You are a head and not the tail. You are a lender and not the borrower. You are above and not beneath. You have to understand this is who you are. You are a mighty man of valor. You are powerful. You are anointed. You are called. You are brilliant. You are amazing. We don't hear men getting these attributes. We don't hear men getting this love and accolades from other men. But as a man, I'm here to tell you that I love you. I'm here to tell you that you are handsome. I'm here to tell you that you are the best father in the world. I'm here to tell you that you are the best husband. I know you're going through a struggle. I know you're going through anxiety. I know you're going through stress. But like the song said earlier, everything is going to be okay. Don't give up. Don't give in. Don't throw in the towel. Don't go back to what God has delivered you from. Don't go make those temporary choices that can give you permanent damage, because a 30-second decision can give you 30 years of consequences. It can get you put in prison. It can get you put in jail, or it can get your life taken. It's time to move with wisdom, young man. It's time to move with clarity. It's time to yield to the voice of the Lord. It's time to be the man that God has called you to be. Put together the childish games. In the Bible, he says this. He said, I put away my childish things. He said, because he become now a man. Understand this. You have to learn how it's a season of life where you have to grow up. Growing up is not about a thing of age, because we have a lot of people who are older but still have childish ways. He said, when I became a man, I put away childish things. So as a man, it's time to grow up. You're 15, you're 16, you're 17. It's time to grow up. You're about to be 18 soon. You're about to get into the real world. They're not teaching math. They're not teaching science. They're trying to teach you how to sell dope. It's a different chemistry. They're trying to teach you how to script, young lady. So it's a lot of things we have to know. We have to be ready for. We got to be prepared for spiritual and mental warfare. And if we are not ready for mental and spiritual warfare, we're going to lose the war against the enemy. So we have to make sure we stay in the word, stay in our toolage. You ain't got to be a preacher. You ain't got to be a pastor, but you must be a servant. We are all called to serve. We are all called to worship. We are all called to praise. You are all called by God. Nobody has called you, not the Navy, not the Air Force, not your job, not your school, not your basketball. Listen, your job is to serve God with all of your heart. Lean not on your own understanding, but in all of our ways, acknowledge him and he will direct your path. So let God lead you. That's and right. You follow. For our sheep, he is the shepherd. Let him go before you. And when you bless his house, he's going to bless your house. And I pray God will put a word into you tonight that will motivate you to get up and say, I'm going to write that business plan. I'm going to start this book. I'm going to make this thing happen for my life and for my destiny, because everything on this point is in my hands. God has given you the land. He's given it to you. And it's time for you to tread upon it the same way that he gave to Joshua. God has blessed you abundantly, that you may have a life and may live it more abundantly. I mean, more than you can possibly use. So I pray that you will grow into a mighty man of valor and cry tears of pain, because they go turn into tears of joy, because the Bible declared that weeping may endure for night, but joy comes in the morning. It's okay to cry, because those tears are about to be tears of laughter when God is done building the things he's going to do in your life. In Jesus' name.
I love all of that. I want you to say something, because in my spirit, as you were talking, I hear people saying, well, I did my time, brother. Yeah. I got out. I did the right thing. Yeah, I stole that, or I robbed this person, or I did this, or I murdered somebody, and I did my time. But the world hasn't forgotten. So when I come back out here, I'm still having to pay the price. What do you say to those men that are experiencing that?
Listen, you don't owe anybody anything. When God has forgiven you, it's time for you now to forgive yourself and move on. Everybody is not going to like you, and everybody is not going to love you. Your job is to bless the people that God has assigned you to. It may be many, there may be few, but don't walk in shame, don't walk in guilt. because God used David that was an adulterer. He used Paul, who wrote the majority of the New Testament. Listen, that was a persecutor of the church. He used Noah, that was a drunk. He used Peter, that was a cusser. And he used Butter the preacher, that was a gangster. And if God can use me, I know for a fact he can show enough use you. Listen, that's not your messed up history. That's your testimony. And somebody going to be delivered because God has brought you out of it.
Wow. And you know, for those of you that may be just tuning in that may have missed but a story, I don't know if you heard it, Lucinda, but this young man right here was shot 9 times.
Yes.
And he survived it because he was out in the streets living that life. He was butt of the gutter. Now he's butt of the preacher. Yes. Right. And when he was last on my broadcast, we were voting for you to become the hip hop gospel artist. And he won.
They came Amen. They came to pay.
He won. Now, you know, I haven't had a chance to talk to you since you won. What did that feel like, getting that award and being recognized for where you are now? What did that feel like, Butter?
It just felt like it just was a lot of joy. It was a lot of excitement. It was so many emotions going through me. But I'm just thinking about, what if I just gave up? I would never experience this moment. Yes. What if I threw in a towel? I'll never be standing here today. What if I didn't pick up that pen? What if I didn't cry? What if I didn't let those emotions out? What if I became so macho and so proudful that I missed my opportunity? So it was me standing there just embracing the moment of, this is happening because of faithfulness. This is happening because of sacrifice and people saying what you cannot do. But most importantly, it was the grace of God. So I just felt like it was just like I was on top of the world, that God will put me on that place. It's not just about winning the award. It was more that God has shown me, this how much you mean to me. This is how much that what you are doing and impacting lives around the world. So it was just my reminder that if I get in a sunken place, I can look at this plaque on the wall. I can look at a trophy that's on my shelf and see that God said, I have honored all you have done for me. And the reward that you are getting is not just on heaven, but I'm going to bring heaven down on earth. He said, as it is in earth, as it is in heaven, it should be on earth. And I'm seeing him manifest heavenly moments in my life. And that's just one of the many that he's doing.
You know, I'm going to share with you. As you were speaking, I thought about one of my quotes that I absolutely love. I read this somewhere and it just stuck with me. And it was that God will use you to change the room. He'll open up a door for you to go in the room to change the room. But when you get in the room, you can't let the room change you.
Impactful. It is one thing about, it's like a seed being planted in the ground. I never see, even though the seed is so small and the ground is so wide, I never seen the ground change the seed. But I do see the seed in the ground. And it bring forth a plant. And even though we may think that we are small, we don't know how much power we got inside of it. So anytime there's dirt in your name, you have to understand that the MUD stands for there's a miracle under the dirt. They looking at what you've been through. They looking at what you are going through. They looking at who counseled you, who counted you out, who blocked you from getting grants, who put you in a jail cell. All they see is dirt. They don't understand it's a miracle under that thing. It was a miracle under those 9 shots. It was a miracle inside of that accident. It was a miracle when I was in that jail cell. It was a miracle when I was in that trap house and that dope house, because God has placed something inside of me nobody haven't yet seen. Because when I got a popcorn kernel, it's not going to pop unless the heat get inside of that small thing that's on the inside. We love the caramel. We love how that butter tastes on that popcorn. We love how it sprout out when it's like the bus open. But it would not pop unless the heat come in the inside first. And I thank God for bringing forth the heat of my life that made me burst open to who I am today. So be grateful for those moments, because God is about to bust something out of you, and it's going to be bigger than a popcorn blessing. It's going to be a real one.
Don't change, Lucinda.
I won't.
I'm hearing
I know the world looks at
Yes.
Christians. I mean, I grew up, they labeled me mentally disabled, mentally retarded, said I couldn't learn. I have 3 psychiatrists who said that it was impossible for me to learn. But yet I hold 2 master's degrees and I've written 4 books. I've worked really hard, and I give God the credit, because I wouldn't have learned it. It made me more determined to say, your label doesn't define me. God put me on this earth for a purpose. I had a Sunday school teacher. I mean, I was abandoned at birth. I never had parents. Even as a 50-year-old woman, I've never had family. I only have my husband of 30 years and my children. I've never known my family. That's why it's so important for me to reunite families, because I desire to be reunited, but yet I'll never be able to find my family. I'm not allowed to find my family. So that's just something that, and then the few family members that I do know of don't want anything to do with me, which is fine. You know, it is what it is. But the thing is, I don't let that define me. I walk in faith. Sometimes I sit there and I don't understand why. I work so hard. I'm so much in debt trying to help families, expecting God to bless me. And I may lose my home. I lost my business. I lost so much. But I still have the faith that God still put me on this path. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do, but I'm still going to keep going. If it means grub hubbing for the rest of my life to help families, then that's what I'm going to do. But I know that God has a purpose and a plan, and I'm going to continue doing what I have to.
Do what you got to do. I believe God is. This is going to be used as one of the greatest books you're going to ever write. It's some seasons we can't avoid. And when I say seasons, we think of it as a 3-month seasonal thing or a 4-month. We trying to calculate it by seasons, but sometimes God operated seasons that can last 2-3 years. And in that season, we asking God, what do I go here? What do I do next? What do I do this? Sometimes we might not even hear God's voice. We might not even feel like that God is present. But
I know right now, today, when Ella asked me to join, I'm like, I'm not in this place right now to be any blessing to anybody, because I'm struggling myself right now, feeling like God's rejected me. So everybody's rejected me.
Yeah. So you can get to the point of you feeling rejection. You could feel abandoned. And how do I trace him if I can't track him? How can I speak to him if I can't hear him? And it's this season of life, it's a peace be still moment. Because God said, I need you to think about what I've already have told you. When I'm going through a test in school, and the teacher telling us, Michael, we have a test. In a high school, I'm taking this test, but I understand doing this test, the teacher is silent. She's not even saying nothing. She's not even talking to us like she used to talk to us anymore. Because I can't even raise my hand and ask a question because she want to tell me to put it down. And I'm like, why is she doing this? And that same attributes is with God. He said, listen, I know that you want me to answer some stuff. I know you want me to speak to the situation. I know you want me to help you with that problem. Listen, he said, but the only way you go past this test is you have to pass this test predicated off some things that I already told you.
That's right.
So what I already have taught you,
amen,
that God's still a way maker. In this season, don't forget that God can still bring you out. He don't have to tell you who he is because you know who he is. We look for a fresh word. And when I'm doing that test, when I'm in this thing hard, I can't ask my neighbor questions. I can't ask my friend in front of me answers because you got to be silent. That's why the teacher is silent during the test, because the student must depend on what they already have said. Don't forget the promise God gave you when you first started this. Don't forget the word he spoke to you when you first got a passion to bring forth families, because that promise is still being fulfilled. God is not you. It's not you waiting on God. God said, I am waiting on you. So keep working, keep pushing, keep moving, and move and operate as if every prayer is already answered. And God is about to open up a window of heaven because you operating off a real faith system, knowing that it have not yet come to pass, but I'm going to smile like it already happened. I have not yet got the grant, but I'm already celebrating, thanking God right now the vision plan for what I'm about to do. He said, write the vision and make it plain. And we can get so frustrated because we don't see the tangible blessings or the prayers being answered through the phone calls or opportunities. But God said, when you start operating in the faith of the action, because it's an action word. Our faith is more than just I believe God. God said, I need to see you move because you want to see me. He said, I woke you up this morning. That's the first blessing I done gave you. I done already gave you the first step and the next step to make it to what you got to make it to. So God said, it's not you waiting on me at this season. In this season, I'm waiting on you. And God is about to do some things in your life. So operate that faith in your actions continually and constantly. And I guarantee he'll open up a door.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Listen. This show definitely went totally different, right?
Man.
But listen, I told you earlier, Butter. I said, let God use it.
You said
and
it.
let it go where it needs to go.
Mm-hmm.
But Lucinda, you know what I love about you is that you and I just talked, I think yesterday. You know, I'm bad at last minute. but there's certain people that I know that'll just come through, and you not one time mentioned to me what you were going through. You didn't say, well, Ella, I'm not in the mood. Well, Ella, you waited till the last minute, or, and those things were true, you know, but you didn't say any of that. You have a servant's heart to just give.
Miss Ella,
And
can I?
you know the devil's not going to just sit back and be like, oh, great,
Hey, Miss
I'm
Ella,
just going to leave you alone. No.
Miss Ella, do you mind if I do something? I don't mean
Yes, please,
in my
please.
spirit. For those that are watching, or those who's going to watch, or those who's going to revisit and reshare. And I don't know if it's fine with you, Miss Pendleton. Man, I would love a way that somebody that's watching this who feel this story is connected with someone they know or them and want to be a blessing and pour into her ministry. Y'all see her sacrificing with doing the Grub Hub to make sure this dream that of us bringing forth families stay alive, helping our families that's broken in the system, and helping these kids get with their parents, the ones they belong to. Parents are crying, parents are struggling, they are going to jail, losing custody, trying to figure out a way to redeem their child. And this system is causing division. But this woman here has came up with a plan, has came up with a strategy to help mend families back and save children. So those that want to be a blessing to her, I love to her Cash App to come on the screen or come into the messages or memos. Some way we can sow into her and give anybody, whatever they have on their heart. If God has blessed you with something tonight, if you want to sow into this show, into this life of Miss Pendleton, it'll be a blessing. I guarantee God will open up a door for you. You've seen her cry. You see her passion. It's something that she has earnestly been doing for years. And if you can sow into it, whatever you can, $20, $10, $1, I guarantee God will plant a tree with that seed. And she'll never forget the things you have done for her with it. So those that, if you can say your Cash App, your dollar sign in your Cash App, hopefully somebody will, and keep on sowing as they could.
What is your Cash App, dear?
It is, let me look it up real quick.
It'll be a blessing us to sow into this this foundation and this piece of her growing this ministry.
It's money sign Overcomers Inc. Overcomer SINC.
Okay, there it is. I just put it into the show Overcomers Inc. For Lucinda. I just want to respect Butter, who just made that. Your camera's missing, Lucinda. We don't
I know.
see you.
I'm looking it up. Sorry.
Yeah, but there you go. So we just put her Cash App there. If you would like to be a blessing to Lucinda, because I had no idea, sweetheart, that you lost the facility and all of that. But listen, all things work together for good. We started the show saying that. We're going to end the show saying that, because it was just as true then as it is now. That doesn't change anything, because God's words doesn't change. God doesn't change. Amen. So
I'm working hard. I worked 63 hours last week. I'm actually working as hard as I can, trying to keep afloat so I don't lose my house. And I got 6 months behind on my mortgage, trying to help. And I went today to help another family get a vehicle when I lost my vehicle. But I know God will bless.
Amen. You provide.
Amen. Well, I definitely, it's been a wonderful show. I'm so glad. I know that Charles is working on some things there. He had to step away from the show. He had some things he had to do. But we want to thank him for being a guest tonight to share his story with CPS. And Lucinda, thank you for coming on to help the guest tonight to sort some things out with his situation. There you go again, helping and being a servant. And God is going to restore you. Before your eyes close tonight, you will believe again in the power of God, because he's real. May not come when we want him, but he's always on time. And I'm listen, I'm not just saying that because it sounds good or because I heard it, because I've heard it my whole life. Now I know what it really means because I've seen it. I have absolutely seen it. I don't even want to tell you guys about my stories. We'd be here all night if I had to give you some examples of what Butter told tonight. That was amazing. And what Charles talked about, that was amazing. But trust me, we all have some stories. We all have some situations. But we are definitely going to get out of here tonight, because I know you guys are tired and everybody wants to get to their families. But this has been this is our revival for our survivors here on the Ella Johnson Show. We've already had last night, tonight, and tomorrow night. We will be live again. I have 2 women that's going to share with you their stories about cancer. Now, I just lost a cousin just 2 days ago to cancer. He's a couple years older than me. God bless his soul. But cancer is real. And I wanted to bring true stories to you because one of the ladies had cancer and survived it, but the other one is going through it right now. So she's going to share. They're both going to share. And I welcome anyone who's a part of this show this week. If you want to be here tomorrow night to support these women, but you're always welcome. Seems like you're going to become the Ella Johnson Show's minister.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty solid. Between you and Apostle, I still love you, Apostle. But yeah, because we need all of the encouragement and love and support that we can get. Because at the end of the day, guys, God is still God. No matter what. No matter what you go through, no matter what you've been through, because you're either going through something, coming out of something, or getting ready to go through it. And you need to know that he is the only way out. He's the only way out of it. You try to do it without him, you're just going to end up back in exile. What's your boy, Jonah?
Yeah.
Jonah thought that he could hide, right, Butter?
And then
God said, boy, if you don't get your behind, and at the end of the day, you ended up in the belly of the whale, and you end up getting thrown right back out on where you were supposed to be anyway. And that's how God does all of us. Now, we're not all falling into a whale's belly, but we're still going to end up where God wanted us. Butter is a good example of that, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So, and now he's using his talents and gifts for God, right?
Amen.
Well, listen, guys, like I said, we're going to get out of here tomorrow night. Wanda Daniel will be here. Iris Patterson will be here sharing their stories. Stay with us for their entire week, because on Wednesday night, we're going to have the new Black Panther Party. We're going to talk about the state of America. And then on Thursday night, we got some random true stories. And then on Friday night, we're ending it with domestic violence. We have some women that are here sharing their heart-wrenching stories about how they survived domestic violence. But I don't want you guys to leave without just a prayer. I want you to pray us out, because I just feel like that's with a word that you've given us tonight, Butter. We have to end it with a prayer. And then we're going to get out of here.
Thank you for this time, God. We thank you for the powerful episode tonight. Thank you for those that's tuning in from far and near, who's watched, God, and sat by the screen and listened to the testimonies, God, listening to the heart, God, listening to the stories, listening to the miracle working power that you have, God, listening to the Father who's crying out for his children, God, listening to this counselor who's working on behalf of families, God, to be mending back together. God, we thank you, God, for what we heard on today. God, we thank you to know that you are still a miracle working God. We thank you to know you are still a God that answers prayer. So God, I pray, Lord, that some man that's watching, some boy, some girl, God, that need to be inspired, need to be renewed, that they will watch this, God, and find some motivation and find some inspiration, God, on this platform that Miss Ella Johnson has been blessed with. God, continue, God, to bless her show with the content, God, with the guests, God, that she's going to bring forth from all over the world. Many lives are going to be changed, God, from the testimony. I pray that somebody's life will be saved through somebody's message, God. Let ministers come and pour into those that are broken, God. Let people leave this show whole. Let people leave this show revived, renewed, and restored. Let this be, God, a sanctuary anointing in the name of Jesus, God. We thank you for everybody that's under the sound of my voice this day, God. We ask that you continue to protect them from seen and unseen danger, God. Watch over their homes, God. Touch their finances. Send increase to those that are lacking, God. Send strength to those that are weak. Send direction, God, to those that are lost, to give sight to those that are spiritually blind. So God, have your way in our hearts, have your way in our minds, God, have your way in our spirits, oh God, and use us according to your will, your perfect plan that you have designed for us. In Jesus' name, bless us above all we can ask or think, God. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray this prayer. Amen.
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 Thank you.
All right, you guys have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you tomorrow night right here on the Ella Johnson Show, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Central. Have a great night. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. We'll see you next time.
We are supporters of the Ella Johnson Show. We live in South Korea. We have been watching Ella Johnson Show for like a year now. And we love her show. Her show is very inspirational, motivational, and educational.
If you would like to be a guest on The Ella Johnson Show, send an email to theellajohnsonshow@gmail.com or send a text message to 407-334-6997.